So for today's dish, I want to make something that's kind of tropical in nature, and it's totally vegan. It's plantains, black beans, lime, cilantro, avocado, onions, and it comes together in this amazing dish that's really simple to prepare. It has some great flavors, and I really like it. Now, plantains, you can find at a lot of markets these days. Most of the mega marts have it. I've seen it at Trader Joe's. They sell them at Costco here in South Florida. So you can find them a lot of different places around. So you can, of course, add and subtract some things if there's something else you like, some other tropical flavor you'd like to add to it. I think it might stand up well to mango. You could certainly put some fish in it if you wanted to, or if you're really into chicken, I guess you could put some chicken with it because it would kind of work with it. But I like it just as it is because it works really well. It's protein packed, it's got a lot of flavor. It's just a great dish to pull together, and it's so simple. For the plantains, one of the things I want to do is coat them in coconut oil. The coconut oil allows them to cook up to a little bit crispier and adds a little bit of flavor. It gives it a little bit more of that tropical flavor I was looking for. So this is the plantain. It's a little larger than a banana. It's kind of hard on the outside like this. What you're looking for is them to be sort of brown. You want them to pass yellow and turn brown. The browner they are, the sweeter they are, and the better they'll cook. Now, if they're a little bit more yellow, they'll still taste good. You can kind of tell how they are as you're cutting them. What I do is I cut off the ends, and I like to take the pieces out of the end too because there's some nice flesh in there too. And I'll just go ahead and score the peel and pull it away. If the banana is really ripe, it'll pull away really easily. If it's a little bit underripe, it'll kind of stick and be a little hard, and you have to kind of work with it a little bit. But you can see how the banana is just slightly soft here. And all I'm going to do is just slice it down the middle and then slice up pieces so that I can go ahead and coat them and cook them. Now as I slice them up, I want you to realize that there's a lot of different ways you can cook plantains. You could fry them, you can mash them, you can do whatever you want with them. They're really flavorful and they taste slightly like a banana, but they're much better. Now as I said, what you were looking for is something that's slightly brown on the outside. That's really what gives it the right flavor. Once I've got them all sliced up, and I've sliced up 3 of them here, I'm going to go ahead and coat them in the coconut oil. That way they get a nice coating, they'll work well when I cook them. Now I like to cook them in an air fryer. I didn't buy an air fryer myself. What we did instead is we got one of these pans. It's an air fryer pan from my oven. My oven is a convection oven, so this is really pretty simple. I just put everything on it and then put it in the oven, and it'll cook all the way around. It's really nice. This is a great addition to my kitchen. It makes it much easier to cook a lot of things and get a crispiness to them that I wouldn't otherwise get in my oven. So once I've got them out on the pan and they're spread out well enough, I'll get them in the oven, and I'm going to cook them for about 15 minutes at about 400 degrees, 425, to kind of get that texture on them. What I want to do is I want to cook them, get them all nice and sweet, and have them ready. So now that I've got them ready, I'll go ahead and take them out of the oven. This is what they look like when they're done. They're really nice and got a nice texture to them. You can see some of them are a little more brown, but they're really sweet and nice at this point, and they're really easy to work with. So now I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of the ingredients together while that cools. I'm going to go ahead and dice up a red onion. I need about a quarter or so of a red onion. I'll just go ahead and dice it up. I like to cut it kind of small like this. It works out pretty well. Kind of distributes through the dish a little bit and gives it a lot of nice flavors without overpowering that one bite of red onion when you get it. Next, I'm going to take some cherry tomatoes. Now, I like cherry tomatoes in here. You could substitute something else. I've seen people do jalapenos instead, or other spices, other things, but I like the cherry tomatoes. I think they add a little bit of a robustness and a color. So once I've got them all cut up, I'll put them in the bowl with the onions that I've got so far, and that'll get me mostly started with the base for this dish. So I've got onions, I've got tomatoes, and now I'm going to do some cilantro. Now I've got a bunch of cilantro here that I have left over from another dish. I'm going to go ahead and pull the stems away, and then I'll have maybe a quarter cup or a little less of cilantro. That's plenty for this dish. So I'll go ahead and just slice that up into little pieces, little ribbons that I can put in there, and that'll add some extra flavor to it. The cilantro, I think, adds a nice earthy component that has sort of that Latin flavor to me that I think is really important to having a dish that comes together like this. So once I've got my herbage in there, I'll go ahead and add some black beans. So I have a can of black beans that I've got here that I'll just add to it. These are cooked, really easy to work with. If you want to start with dry beans, you'll have to soak them first to make sure they're nice and soft. But then I'll go ahead and add my plantains. They're nice and cool now, so I can add them to the rest of the dish, and I just want to get them in here and started. So as you can see, this starts to come together kind of nicely. I get this really kind of cool dish that's got plantains and beans and onions, and yum. It's a really, really nice dish. There's still a few more ingredients to go though, so let's just finish it out. Next up, I'm going to start up on a sauce. I think the sauce is important. I do a little bit of lime juice, I add a little bit of olive oil to it. You could add coconut oil if you prefer. I like a little pepper, a little sugar, and a little salt. I think those are the important ingredients that kind of add a little robustness. If you wanted to add some spice mix to it, you certainly could. If you wanted to have a little tanginess to it, you could do something else. And now I'm going to add some avocado. Now avocados, I like to use the Hass avocados. They're smaller, but they're more flavorful than the Florida avocados. And all I do is I dice around the edge, I slice around the edge, and then I go ahead and I take the pit out like this. I just stab it with the knife and just pull it out. It should just twist and pull. Done. Now I've got the avocado ready to work with. So I'll go ahead and I'll just slice it up while it's still inside the skin here. And I'll do the same thing for my other pieces. I have 3 pieces I'm working with, an avocado and a half. Works for me. Could be just one avocado. I just happen to have another half in the fridge that I'd use for something else, so I'm going to go ahead and use it here. Might as well. So I just go ahead and slice them up like this. So that way I've got my cubes. I slice down to the skin, and then I just go around with a spoon and I just basically scoop it out. And that's it. Now I've got some nice pieces of avocado I've got in my dish. And if there's anything left in the bottom of there, I'll go ahead and just scoop it out anyway, just because it's good and it's yummy to have in there. So I'll repeat the same thing with the other 2. Since they're already diced up, it's just easy to take the pieces out and put them in my dish. Really pretty straightforward and simple. Avocados are easy to work with. I love avocados, and they work with a lot of different things. You can use them in a lot of different dishes. So versatile. You can use them in a smoothie if you want. Of course, guacamole is always a good choice, and just kind of play around with them a little bit. I'll put them on toast once in a while just for an avocado toast, just for the flavor of it. So that's it. That's all I've got for all my ingredients that I'm going to put in here. I'm just going to start mixing it up and getting some color into it. You can see how the color comes together as you start to do this. It just pops. It has something nice to it. And now I'm going to go ahead and add my liquid, my dressing for it. So this is my lime and olive oil and whatever, and I'm just going to put it on there. And again, if you wanted to add something else to it, you certainly could. If there's more things you want to put on it, you can. Kind of make this your own, because you can add to it and make something really interesting. And this last part is really about mixing everything together to get all the flavors married together. You might want to taste it and adjust your seasoning a little bit. You could always add some other flavor profiles to it if you want to. If there's something else you want to put in it, you certainly could. But what you're looking for is this nice color, this pop of color that's got this zing of lime in there, and everything kind of comes together nicely. So this is what my dish looks like when it's all together. And then when I plate it, it comes out really spectacular. This is what I'm talking about for a plantain and black bean dish.